We thought that we were going to have nothing to talk about. We thought we were only going to have 2 races, but then Liverpool said, hold my beer, and they came roaring back to make this an actual title race, which is super exciting for fans of non-Man City and Liverpool teams that just want to see something that's competitive to end the season. So it's a 2-horse race. We're not going to give anybody any other odds. Let's not get cute with it. It's Manchester City minus 225 to end the season as champions, Liverpool plus 165. Only 1 point separates them, and there is a massive, massive showing coming up in Manchester in a couple of weeks between the 2 teams. So, Brett, right now, here on March 31st, with those odds, who are you taking?
Man, I mean, my heart says I want to take Liverpool for the excitement of the come from behind, win the title type of thing. I mean, that's clearly what we need in life, given the gloominess of the last few years, the last decade, who knows? But I mean, I just think City's too good. They're gonna have the benefit of being at home for that 6 point or 2. I mean, it's gonna be at the Etihad, which I think is, it's still a huge advantage. I mean, soccer is a little bit more random in that way than other sports, but it's better to have that game, at the Etihad than at Anfield if you're City. And as much as Liverpool's depth has been great, I mean, City, it just continues to roll. It doesn't matter who's out there for City. The machine always seems to keep churning at an extremely high level. And there isn't a player. I mean, actually, I guess, if Liverpool lost Trent Alexander-Arnold, I feel like that would be like an injury. I don't know how you feel about it, but for me, I would see that injury and be like, they're done. That's it for them. With City, even if they lost your boy Cancelo, is that statue outside your house yet of him or no? But even
under
if they
construction,
under construction still, okay. Well, we'll put a picture of it when it's ready. But even if they lost Cancelo, who's probably their most unique player, I still feel like I wouldn't have any opinion change about him. And it doesn't really matter who goes down. KDB has missed a lot of minutes over the last few years, and it hasn't really changed anything. I definitely feel like maybe he brings him to a slightly higher level when he's out there. But, even if Raheem Sterling is a bit starter at this point, and that's just incredible to me. I don't see City just having those games either where they just choke. I mean, they pummel Palace, and Palace just got extremely lucky with that draw. That has to continue. They just have to have terrible finishing luck basically down the stretch run for me to not want to take the odds that they're going to win.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because you're talking about squad depth and overall balance among all the players and how Manchester City, is obviously exceptional in that regard. But we're not talking about a 38-game campaign anymore. We're talking about a 9-game campaign.
Yeah.
And in a 9-game campaign, I'm less worried about one player falling out because that's, just a smaller sample size in which it could actually happen. So I think if the odds reflected a coin flip, I would take Manchester City. I think Manchester City is the more likely champion because I think they're the better team. But the odds don't reflect a coin flip. You're taking Manchester City minus 225 versus Liverpool plus 165 when only 1 point separates them, and Liverpool is on the come up, and Liverpool is an absolute world-class team. I mean, these 2 teams, I think, are a very thin margin separates the 2. And I know that City's going to be home for the 6-pointer, and I think that's why the betting odds currently are where they're at. But given where the odds are at, if I'm laying money down, give me the plus side. Because I think if, you do this last 9 games, 10 times, I think City's the champ probably 6 and Liverpool's the champ 4. And I think the EV on a Liverpool bet on plus 165 is the better actual value, even if City is more likely to be the champion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not making models over here, something that's calculating 100 outcomes for this where they're at right now. But I mean, 6 of 10 seems a little low for me with City. Liverpool's got tricky fixtures coming in. In terms of the fact that they're obviously going to be away at City, which is going to be the trickiest fixture. But Aston Villa away, is that a draw that Liverpool stumbles into there? They're going to play Spurs at home. Spurs have been unlucky with their results, but their underlying numbers are awesome. So you're talking about a team that, really is playing well, probably one of the better teams in the world right now. And even that Southampton fixture away is tricky. Like that's a team that Southampton, when they're on their good days, when Hasenhutl's got that press going, like that team trips people up. And even Wolves at home could be something too. Wolves have been pretty solid team. So there's a lot of games where I feel like Liverpool can stumble. I also do feel like with Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold, those guys are still massive cogs in that machine. They're the guys that like Liverpool can't lose down the stretch run. And that's what I keep going back to is like, if everything's even, in your opinion, even if everything is even, there's going to be fluky shit that happens. Somebody's going to get hurt for a stretch that's going to be really important, or somebody's going to have to get rotated because both these teams are going to be playing deep into the Champions League. And Liverpool just has good attacking depth now, especially with Diaz in the fold, Firmino back and healthy. But at the same token, there's two players on their team and Van Dijk too, as well. Like Van Dijk got hurt, that if they lost one of those guys for 4 or 5 games down the stretch, that's a massive blow. The replacement that's going to come in for any one of those players is going to be a severe downgrade. And I know there's 11 guys on the pitch, but that's a big deal. And with City, there just isn't a guy. They like, what center back do they lose that you're worried about? Even with Cancelo, they're going to plug in Kyle Walker still at one right back to shut down counterattacks, and then they'll throw Zinchenko out there, and then it doesn't matter because KDB and Foden will just create everything in the final third. So it's I think it's more like 7 or 8 out of 10 times City win this, which is why even though you're not getting great value out of the bet, I still think it's the right one. But, I hope I'm wrong. For the sake of entertainment, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, obviously we all want to be the winners here. We want this to go down to the final match day and to have another Aguero type moment that decides this thing.
God, I could use that in my life.
Plus, making bad value bets is your specialty, so I can see why you'd want the City side of this. True. So I don't know. I mean, I don't want to make the same points about squad depth and a more limited fixture list. But I will say that, like, in terms of tricky fixtures, like it wasn't, it wasn't Tottenham or City, or I'm sorry, not City, but Chelsea or anybody else that necessarily tripped up the City machine last time out. It was Crystal Palace, and so like they just saw that anybody they could drop points versus anybody right now, and they're not the all-killing machine that we saw that was running all 14, 15, 16 straight wins. Maybe they're going to go back to that. Maybe they're going to, sweep their final 9 fixtures, and my comments are going to look silly in retrospect. But I just know that looking at the betting odds, I think the better value is on Liverpool.
Well, I mean, you've been more right than me lately, so I don't even know if you're the expert at this point.
Not just lately.
Way to throw that extra little bit of shade in there. I appreciate it.